Hello there, Workwear Nation. It's Matthew Hudson again, and today's fit tip, we're going to talk about, well, fit, right, and how boots fit. One of the things that we know for a fact is that 80% of workers are wearing the wrong size boot or shoe. Now, how do we know that? Because we fit every day in our stores, but also statistically, not only the National Shoe Retailers Association and the Podorthic Footwear Association, who track these types of metrics, are giving numbers higher than what we're quoting, but we've been noticing about 80% is wrong. Now, when I say 80% are wearing the wrong size, I'm not saying that they're wearing a size 9, they should be in a size 12, right? I'm just saying they're wearing a size 9, they probably should be in a 9.5. Now you can say, well, is it really that big of a difference? It absolutely is a big difference when you're talking about wellness and feeling good, right? It's because the most important part of fit is I want the widest part of the foot and the widest part of the shoe. So what I'm saying is the widest part of the foot, right? So here's our foot. This part right through here, that's the widest part, isn't it? Okay, from this point over to here. This is really where the ball of your foot is when you're talking about that. That's how your foot's naturally designed to flex when it's moving. Boots and shoes are also built the same way. They're designed to flex with the boot. In essence, if I have the widest part of the foot in the widest part of the shoe right here, then watch what happens when I flex it. So I want you to watch the heel here. I'm just going to pull down at that wide part. See that heel pop up? See when I pull down, see the heel pop up? Now let me come forward just a little bit. In essence, a half a size forward, and watch that heel. Nothing, right? In fact, I'm pulling twice as hard to try to get it to do something. It's not doing anything. The shoe's designed to flex at that point, meaning that if the boot flexes correctly, the heel naturally lifts, and the body doesn't have to do the work. So what we know is people aren't really paying attention to that part. They're paying attention to something else, more dangerous, and that is the number, right? They're looking at the label and going, oh, well, this is a 9, I'm a 9, that's what I want to do. That's the wrong way to fit a shoe, right? Why is it that when I go buy stuff, whether it be a safety boot or a shirt or pants, that a large isn't a large? A 9 isn't a 9 isn't a 9, right? Even in the same manufacturers. Why? Well, because this is how the size and fit's determined in a boot. It's called a last, right? This piece right here, last. This is a domestic last. This here is a European last. These forms right here are what we use to determine how the fit of that boot's going to be. In essence, we take this form, we take the upper leather on it, we take the bottom part of the shoe, and we sew them together around this. You can see in this particular video what that looks like. You see they now made the shoe and they pop it out. You can see how they pop it out and they don't need it anymore. Okay, so that's what we're looking for here. That's the last. The last is a proprietary design. It's basically designed to fit a person's foot. Now what we know is that some people have very bony, fleshy feet like me. I'm an 11C. If you were to put me on the Brannick and measure me perfectly, I'm an 11C. So a little bit narrow, and my foot is very kind of bony. But, you know, I have other friends and people, their foot is much kind of larger. It's not that they're wide, it's just that real beefy, real heavy. We've got people who have flattened arches, people who have high arches, right? And so some of you are watching and going, yes, that's me. Where that arch is determines where the ball of the foot is, determines where it's going to fit in there. So when your manufacturer's designing boots and they're using a last, what they're basically saying is, I'm going to build a last that's more tapered and fits those guys that are like me, that are a little more narrower, a little not quite as full of foot. And then others might say, nope, I'm going to build a last, and I'm going to go for the guy who's got the beefier guy, the heavier foot, right? Because some people are 6 feet tall, some people are 4'5", right? And so I'm going to make sure that I'm going after that particular kind of foot. And if you've ever went running and you went to a running store, you'll notice that some shoes fit so much better than the others. What makes that is not the number on the size of the shoe, it's this last that they use to make it. Now, I'm on the ASTM committee, the F30 committee, that writes the standards for safety footwear. And there's some people on the committee who would love for us to develop an ASTM standard for shoe sizing so that you buying can know if it's an 8, it's an 8, it's an 8, it's an 8. But what's broken in that is what we just talked about. It's an 8, but it's an 8 for somebody who's got a flat arch, or it's an 8 for somebody who's got a high arch, or it's an 8 for somebody who is kind of a bony foot. It's an 8 for somebody who's a real fleshy foot. See all the variables there? So it's not possible to get that. And in fact, I don't think any manufacturer would ever agree to it anyway, because one of the nice things for them is it's a proprietary technology. It's part of their design to know that, hey, when I buy this boot, it fits me better than when I buy this brand, right? But here's one other thing you need to be considering about. The last determines it, not the brand. So we had a few years ago, we had a company that was making boots here in the United States. They closed the US factory and moved production to overseas. Same boots, same model number, but when it came in, it didn't fit the same. Somebody would just say, hey, just give me another one of these boots. I've been wearing them for years. There's one other one. They put it on and go, this fits tight, doesn't feel the same. What changed? The last is what changed, right? The brand was the same, but the last changed. So even within a brand, unless that company makes every single pair, every single style using the exact same last, this form piece, they're not going to fit the same. In our stores, we carry shoes made in the United States, in Mexico, in Brazil, in Portugal, in Indonesia, in Cambodia, in China, in India. So you can see, as I just continue to list and goes on from there, why it's going to be so different. And all of our manufacturers, very few brands that we carry, very few brands that you're going to work with, use the exact same last, or in essence, use even the same factory. They might build their pull-on boots, they might build in one factory, and then their lace-up built, they might build in another factory. If you just take a look at what you see here, you can really see this last come to life, right? You can see how the shape of this looks very different than the shape of this. Look how much more tapered this one is, okay, from what the others were, or how this one's a little bit different. You can see the difference between them. That's that last that's inside there when they made the boot that determined that. So the focus that you want to have is on the last and on the fit. Now, I think that one of the things that we need to do better at is communicating as safety managers and safety professionals, communicating to our employees, this is a benefit when I give you a subsidy to get safety shoes, right? It's not a penalty that you have to do that. But I can see how sometimes employees might think it's a penalty, because if you're the type of program that says, we're going to have one shoe, we're going to wear this one shoe, this one style, and everybody's going to wear it. And that way, when I walk on the production floor, I know they're wearing their safety shoes. Here's the problem. Some of your employees are this tall, some of your employees are this tall, right? Some are this wide, some are this wide. Their feet are all very different. It's impossible, if I'm using one last, meaning one shoe, I can't fit everybody correctly. Remember, 72% of workers experience pain and discomfort on their job. At least they report that they're experiencing pain or discomfort on the job. That pain or discomfort leads to a loss in productivity when they're doing their job. In fact, our studies show that the right sock, the right fit, the right insole can improve productivity by as much as 20%. What you got to do is you got to stop thinking about the number on the side of the boot, and you got to start focusing on the last and understanding the last is what determines the fit. And that as long as you have the widest part of the foot and the widest part of the shoe, you're going to have the best fit.